Hello everybody, today I'm going to be talking about cultural shock in the movie Crazy Rich Asians, directed by John M. Chu. This movie is a romantic comedy, but it also shows a deeper theme about identity, family expectations, and what it feels like to be thrown into a completely different culture. Culture shock is the feeling of stress, anxiety, or confusion a person may feel when going into a new cultural environment because they're definitely not used to it. It can include differences in language, social norms, traditions, values, and even wealth. In this movie, the main character, Rachel Chu, experiences culture shock when she travels to New York from Singapore with her boyfriend, Nick Young. Rachel is a Chinese American economics professor who grew up in the United States with her single mother. Rachel sees herself as connected with her Chinese heritage, but her understanding of it is very Americanized. When Rachel arrives in Singapore and meets Nick's family, she doesn't only realize that they're extremely wealthy, she also realizes that they're deeply traditional. Rachel also finds out that Nick is in one of the richest families ever in Singapore, and he never fully explained that to her. So you can imagine how much shock she would feel. Just imagine how much shock you would feel. One of the first examples of culture shock in this movie is the extreme wealth that Rachel encounters. She walks into massive mansions and attends over the top parties. She meets people who live completely different lifestyles than she's ever lived. For Rachel, this amount of luxury is very overwhelming for her because it's not just about money, it's about family, legacy, reputation, and status. And she definitely did not have the status going into it because she grew up as a middle class girl. In Nick's world, family name and status is a very important thing to have, and for Rachel it's not, because she grew up with a very individualistic mindset. Not only that, but an American mindset, because she lived in New York. Another major moment of culture shock from Nick's mother, Eleanor. Eleanor represents Asian values that prioritize family duty over happiness. So she will do anything to maintain the family status, the family image, over a lot of more happiness mentally. And I think it's also something that a lot of richer families will actually do, and it's no surprise. Rachel believes that love should be enough in a relationship, in a marriage, but Eleanor thinks that marriage is more about honoring the family expectations and continuing a legacy that they've created. This overall causes Rachel to not feel good enough for Nick because, she's going through new things, she's experiencing new things, and now she's feeling like she doesn't have enough money or class. She wasn't raised in the right environment. She's not traditional enough. This highlights a big culture shock for Western culture versus Asian culture. For Western culture, it's more about following your heart and emphasizing independence. And for Asian culture, it's more about sacrificing, loyalty, respecting your elders, very much respecting your elders. And Rachel struggles because she feels like she's being compared to standards that she never really knew existed, and standards that she also never really had to practice because it's not really the norm where she grew up in New York. This kind of culture shock is starting to make Rachel feel like she's not good enough. So she starts asking herself, am I not Asian enough? Am I not Chinese enough? Am I not traditional enough? Am I too American? Who am I? Overall, that whole identity crisis is a big part of Rachel's culture shock. There's also social culture shock in this movie. Rachel had gone to a bachelorette party and she was singled out and bullied by other women. The reason that these women are bullying her and singling her out is because they thought that her intentions were to take Nick out of their elite social circle and ultimately bring him into that more Americanized, non-wealth circle. Because, mind you, she is not rich, she's middle class. This makes Rachel feel a lot of rejection, especially because she's in a foreign environment where she does not know anything. So she already came into this feeling like an outsider, and now she feels even more like an outsider because she's being singled out purposely by all these women. What makes this movie so powerful is that Rachel does not give up, and she doesn't reject the culture that she's receiving. She takes it in and she learns it while also keeping her character and maintaining how to still be herself throughout all of this. In the final confrontation scene with Eleanor during the Mahone scene, Rachel shows respect for tradition but also stands up for herself. And she also proves that she understands sacrifice for family values, even if she expresses them in different ways that they do not. By the end of the movie, cultural shock becomes a tool for growth, and Rachel understands both sides of herself, her American side and her Chinese side, and she becomes a lot more confident in having both of those sides. Not only does Rachel grow as a person, but so does Eleanor, because Eleanor, she starts to see that loyalty can come in different forms. It's not only what she's used to. The movie also suggests that culture shock isn't just about discomfort. It can lead to self-discovery and mutual understanding, and you can make a lot more connections and learn a lot about yourself through those things. Overall, Crazy Rich Asians uses romance and comedy themes to give you a proper representation of culture shock, and it also goes through things like identity, wealth, family expectations, and Rachel's experience shows how difficult it can be to navigate two different cultural worlds at once. But it also shows that embracing who you are while respecting others' traditions can bridge the biggest cultural gaps. Thank you.